No, we should be good to go. All right, guys, what's going on? We are back after a week or so layoff, ready to give you guys some waiver wire pickups for week 7. My God, we're already halfway through the fantasy season, about halfway through the regular season, and it'll be over tomorrow. So just blink your eyes, wake up, and there you have it. So, as you guys know, the waiver wire is absolutely freaking, I don't want to say dead, but you are scrapping for the bottom of the barrel type of players. And that's honestly where I like it because a lot of your league mates, a lot of your idiot league mates, if you want to call it that, they're going to log on to ESPN, Sleeper, whatever. They're going to scan the projected points. They're going to go in here. They're going to go, this is what they do. They go to Flex. They go here. Michael Mayer, oh, I don't care about him. Josh Reynolds, don't care about him. Might talk about him later. These guys are, we don't care about them. I'm not going to pick up anybody. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, there's gems on the waiver wire and there's so many guys out here that, you guys are missing out. But I do believe there are some guys, as I try to strive for every single week, there are a few guys that are worth scooping up that are not on that high end projection that down the line can end up being some big time players. So before we get into that, common segment that I've started, let me hear my audio first of all because I want to make sure I'm not loud big time players. So, all right, we're good. But we do the shame on you segment. So, guys that we've already talked about, one guy we'll start off with the shame on you segment. Like, if this guy's on your waiver wire, uh, guys, just get a new league. Get a real league. Stop playing in leagues, that are that shallow in a sense. Number one guy, and we didn't have a show last week. Had a little bit of the sniffles, the flu, whatever. Really just a cold, but um, nonetheless, still, I mean, still got this mucus, but all right for the most part. Anyway, the guy to talk about, uh, everybody's talking about him this week on their waiver wire shows. He's the headline guy. He's the thumbnail guy. Kamani Vidal. Now, last week the big debate was Kamani Vidal, Hassan Haskins. I would have went Kamani Vidal. I think a lot of people out there, if you watch this show, you probably watch a lot of the, other content creators similar to me. They went Vidal. Um, I don't think a lot of you guys fell into the Hassan Haskins trap, and I don't really know if you can even call that a trap. If you watch a little bit of the Chargers, you don't have to be an expert to know that Vidal's a better player than Haskins. Haskins is not an NFL player. He's strictly there because, Harbaugh is the coach in Michigan. He was probably one of those guys that, coach's pet type of player. And he got his spot on the Chargers. They'll rub it off as, oh, he's locker room guy, he's this, he's that. The thing is, Vidal is just a much better player. For best ball last year, I mean, Vidal was a guy that was the most popular 18th round pick of all time. Um, I had probably like 50% of Vidal shares last year and it didn't do anything. But um, a lot of it's a very common trend I've been seeing over the last couple of years in the fantasy community. A lot of people in the fantasy, a lot of experts, analysts, whatever you want to call us, you know, I guess I put myself in there. But they are usually early on players. Um, they're not wrong about players. They're just early on players, and they expect these young rookies to just come in and boom, they're going to be the guy. And it's just not how it works in the NFL. There's a lot of gamesmanship. There's a lot of old school coaches, and they want to, oh, this he's not good at this and this, and we can't depend on him for that, so he's not going to play. And it takes a little bit of time, but a lot of people in the draft community, fantasy community, they saw the talent with Vidal. Not like he was a superstar, but the guy could play. He was a good pass protector. He had some ability catching, receiving the football, and he had some really good numbers at Troy University, which is why he fell down. Probably the fact that he's from Troy, he fell down to the 6th round or whatever it was. And what do you know? I mean, his very first start, he goes out there and he has 22 points. Now, I know it's Miami, which is probably why it's boosted, but I think this week, if he's going to get 15 touches again, that's an accurate projection. He's probably a 12 point per game type of player. He's not going to get 22, but yeah, that's the Miami boost if you want to call it that. And I mean, I've said that on this show weeks ago. Weeks ago, if you got players playing against Miami, throw them in your lineup. Okay, it could be the backup kicker. I don't care. They're playing Miami. Throw them in the lineup. All right, Miami's a team. Another thing I'll toot my horn on. They're nobody cares about football down there. Okay, it's a lot of partying. It's just football second in that team, and Tua made that public this week, which I never would have thought would have actually been said by a player, which is pretty embarrassing, but there you have it. But anyway, back to Vidal. Going forward, he's going to be the guy, barring they bring. I know they have Hines on the practice squad, but barring they bring in um, I think people are saying they're going to trade for Kamara or Hall, or they sign somebody, they sign Gus Edwards. Hopefully, none of that happens. Hopefully, they just roll with him until somebody else. But I could definitely see that happening, unfortunately, because the Chargers were the team last year that was kind of going split between. Well, I don't know about split, but they tried to work in Gus Edwards every which way possible, even though his time has come and gone. But Vidal has shown that he could take a workhorse type of role. I mean, if need be, I actually see him possibly when Hampton comes back after the bye week, which I'd imagine. Um, he's probably going to have like a 6 to 7 touch type of role, just because I think he's shown like, hey, this guy's a good player. And the reason I was so big on him last year, as was everyone, was the pass protection. He's a good pass protector. He knows how to, and that's really, really important, especially when you're talking about, Justin Herbert, a $50 million quarterback. So, um, bottom line, get on this guy. Shame on you if he's still on your waiver wires. He shouldn't be on your waiver wire. Somebody should have picked him up last week. But he's just under 50% owned. So there were some guys out there. I know even, the Snake and Adam Schefter both tweeted that, oh, Haskins was the lead back. That was a crock of you know what, because that went out the window after the first drive. Like, yeah, no thanks. I can see Haskins coming in on goal line, but Vidal's the guy. Get on him. And honestly, don't look back. Now, a couple more guys we'll talk about. I really don't have many more guys actually for shame on you. Just strictly shame on you. These guys, I guess we'll move into um, running backs as a whole. Quarterbacks, I really don't have anybody. Sam Darnold's out there if you want to take Sam Darnold. I'm not crazy on Sam Darnold, but I mean his numbers are they're they're decent. He's already 50% owned, so we can't really talk about him. And the stipulation for the show: anybody they have to be under 50% owned, unless they're not worth mentioning. Jackson Dart's going to be a popular name. He's just under 50% owned. I expect him to probably get bid. Excuse me. You imagine how that was last week. But I expect him to be heavily bid on this week. Granted, I'm in New Jersey, so a lot of Giant fans in this league, so you can imagine how it was on last Thursday. But um, the rushing upside is definitely there, 13 for 58. And he's a guy that, since he's young, he's 22, he's just going to go out there and run face forward, try to get every single yard. He's a rookie. He doesn't care about sliding and, preserving himself. So it's good for fantasy's sake, but long term sake, reality's sake, that's like, whoa, you don't want your quarterback doing that. So he already got in trouble with that. Maybe he changes it a little bit because he went into the 10 for a concussion. Giants schedule coming up, they're a little bit. It's going to be a little rough. Denver, filthy. San Francisco, not really liking it. I mean, the rushing upside might be able to cover his ass, but um, I really think that we're just going to be getting a little carried away with the game last week. And look, even myself, I was a big Blue fan last Thursday watching them be filthy. That was hilarious. We were all laughing. But it's one game, okay? They caught filthy on a bad week. And they took advantage of them and exposed them on national television. It's awesome, but Let's not think that's the Giants for the rest of the year. And I know I'm the hater and I'm the downer and all that, but that's just the reality of the NFL. So um, I could very easily see Jackson Dart. I mean, this literally, last the week before that, 4 days before that, they turned the ball over 5 times and lost to the defeated Saints. So um, I could see him being more so a 15 point per game player. Um, but looking at this rushing upside, it is tempting. So put a bid on him if you're quarterback desperate. I'm not going to. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't go crazy. I think that's probably what I would say. But put a bid on him if you're quarterback desperate because it's worth it. Um, Another guy we talked about earlier, but I'm off, is Aaron Rodgers. My God, I mean, he doesn't. He just doesn't pass the ball down the field. It is the most check down Charlie offense I've seen the entire season since that Jets game. I was thinking he had a chance to do this every other week. Not even close. So, no thanks on Aaron Rodgers. Now, let's go to the running backs. My God, this is getting annoying. Let's go to the running backs. Guys that we've already hit on in the past. Number one, Tyler Algiers. We shouldn't be talking about him. What's his ownership? How is he still, guys? If he's still on your way, we'll put him in the shame on you segment. It's not hot. It's not sexy, but there's no way he should be under 50% owned. Um, Anytime Atlanta has a lead or anytime Atlanta's favored, you want to play this guy. This guy he's the closer. I don't want to say he's Rivera because that's a bit of a stretch, but anytime Atlanta's in the lead, they want to grind the game out. They go to Algiers and look at the volume that he's getting. I know the reception isn't there. He's not an every week starter. He's a running back 4. Okay, he's a borderline flex at best. That's fine. He's a waiver wire guy. It's okay. Okay, so anytime you see, I mean, Miami in a couple weeks, Carolina, the Jets. Anytime this guy has a favorable matchup, go ahead and start him because he's going to get in volume and he's going to get some goal line work. And we don't know what we already know how bad the injuries are so far, and we don't know how bad it's going to be down the line. It's probably going to be worse, and we don't even. That's the scary part. We don't even know who's going to get hurt. So go ahead and pick him up now if you didn't already. Um, let's see. Next, we'll talk about the Cardinals backfield. So we got the tweet on Sunday that Bam Knight was going to be the starter, and I guess he's worth a roster spot. I'm off the Cardinals backfield as a whole. I just think it's a total mess. I'm going to honestly, what are they at? I'm just going to lay off all of them. Once Trey Benson comes back, all these guys hit the waiver wire, so I don't want to touch the Cardinals backfield. I don't want to play guessing games with that, especially in my starting lineup. I'd much rather have the other two guys before. But if there's a guy to pick, I guess it's Bam Knight. 3 yards per carry ain't that good. He's getting goal line work. Yip de freaking do. I don't care. It's worth mentioning though. I mean, worth a spot. Not gonna bid much at all. If I'm just being honest, I don't really care about the Cardinals running backs. Honestly, in my opinion, DeMarcado was the best back, but he killed his entire career by doing that shit with the. There I go cursing, but doing that crap where just throwing the ball away. I don't understand. I mean, I thought these guys would learn from Deshaun Jackson, but I guess not. Um, let's see. Now let's move into sort of the deeper running backs. Kendre Miller was a hot name, but he's kind of cooled off a little bit. And the big speculation with him was Kamara might get traded. Kamara might get traded. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Kamara himself kind of said he wants to retire with the Saints. No clue why. The Saints stink, but okay, good for him. Um, Considering the game scripts are usually negative as well, probably more so a guy to just leave on the waiver wire. If you're in a deep 14 and up, stash him. But aside from that, I'm leaving him on the waiver wire. The rest of the backs, looking through my list right now, the one guy that I do want to talk about that's worth a stash is Isaiah Davis. Um, Brees Hall apparently yesterday on Instagram said free 20, free me, uh, and you know requests I think in today's game are taken a little bit more seriously than they were in the past. And it's I don't think the Jets would trade him just because from the reality standpoint, what are you getting? You're getting a bag of chips. Nobody's going to give you a second round pick for Brees Hall. Nobody's going to probably give you a third round pick for Brees Hall. They're going to get even as good as Brees Hall is, you're going to get a running back for 8 games, and that's it. You're not going to give this guy money. Maybe somebody will, but today's NFL, you don't pay running backs. I mean, that's just how it is. So I don't see anybody putting a significant draft capital into him, and you know, considering that this staff is on their first year, I mean, they should be trading away assets, but this it's they're at the point now. To be honest with you, they're fighting for their jobs. I mean, with how bad that game was in Denver and London, I mean, they basically exposed themselves to everyone that they're the most incompetent team in the league with the worst offense in the league by a mile. The Giants' offense is much better than them. I thought the Giants' offense was the worst. They're way better than the Jets' offense. The Jets' offense is the worst offense I've ever seen in my life. There's high school teams that could play better than that. There's high school passing games. I think Army and Navy can do a better passing game than that. Um, so, I mean, speaking of passing game, though, for Isaiah Davis, he's going to get some targets in the passing game, but that will keep him slightly, relevant as a bench stash. But uh, just keep him for a week or two. See if Brees Hall gets moved before the deadline, because if he does, then you're going to get this guy as an RB2 for the rest of the year, which is valuable for free. But if you don't have the room, don't sweat it. That's pretty much it for running backs, guys. I mean, I don't really want to. We could talk about, the rest when it comes to the running back for the rest of the year at this point, guys. We're looking for the handcuffs. So, Ollie Gordon, Blake Corum, Blue, Emmanuel Wilson, Brashard Smith, Shipley's a good handcuff too. If you really want to go to that next level of running backs, those are the guys you could stash. And honestly, just they're not going to do much, but just hold on to them and hope you get lucky because the upside it's a lottery ticket. You have that much like it's literally a lottery ticket. You have that little of a chance to get lucky with them, but if you do, that could hit your team stock up to the moon just off one injury alone. And how many injuries there are this year, guys? Like it's worth it. Um, all right, so receivers. The number one pickup of receiver this week by a mile, who we've already talked about, Luther Bird. Oh, I forgot one running back. I'm sorry, guys. We already talked about him before, so that's why I skipped over him. Tyjae Spears. Get on this guy. He's only 33%. That's ridiculous. Guys, Tyjae Spears was supposed to be a eighth round pick this year in fantasy before his high ankle sprain in August. Okay, literally, I was doing best balls. I started to really heat up my best balls late July going into August, and I got Tyjae Spears in like the eighth round in a lot of drafts, and you know he was supposed to be sort of the lead back in a sense in the Tennessee backfield. Now Tennessee's an absolute S storm. They just fired the coach. Their interim head coach is garbage, so it's not worth getting excited about. But Tyjae Spears was supposed to be the number one back for Tennessee this year. Going into his third year, it's a prime opportunity for him to, sort of break out in a sense, and he gets involved in the passing game. I mean, 4 targets, 4 catches, 19 yards. That's 6 points alone on checkdowns. He gets this rushing up to 8 or 9 carries a game. Maybe a goal line carry. I doubt it, but maybe. Uh, you're looking at a 11 point per game type of player, and that's very much worth rostering. It's borderline startable. So I don't think Tennessee is really the team where you want to be picking up their players. I understand, but uh, I mean, we're talking about free at this point. We're not talking about putting draft capital into these guys. Same thing with Luther Burden, who we're going to get into. But I already mentioned Ty J. He should have been on your IR to this point, and you should have moved him up to your bench if you haven't already. But make sure you guys get on Ty J. Spears. You should have been on him already. I mean, potentially a starting running back. Now, Luther Burden, number one pickup this week, and I'm on record not liking Luther Burden. Um, but I want to make this clear, guys, when we're talking about free, that's way different than talking about draft capital. I could give a crap if Luther Burden stinks. I just put him right back on the waiver wire and I move on with my life. Free is way different than putting draft capital. Putting a ninth to 10th round pick in Luther Burden, that's where I was like, yeah, no, thank you. Okay, it's going to take time. He's got to mature, et cetera, et cetera. But free, absolutely. A lot of upside to have him for on your bench for free. And after that week 3 game against Dallas, I was already pretty big on Luther Burden, and I said stash him for the rest of the year, no questions asked. He's already only on 30% snap share. Oh, he's on 30% snap share, and he showed he can make explosive plays. Now imagine when that gets up to 50, 60, 70. I'm not saying it'll go that high, but once again, um, as I was scrolling Twitter this morning, I read a report that DJ Moore was hospitalized. As I'm pulling up the article right now, I don't know what the hell the injury is. Apparently, it was a groin injury, and knowing if I had knowing anything that's going on with this situation, what I'd imagine he was doing, he was probably in the locker room with a hammer, banging his groin, maybe banging his testicles after the game, hoping that he gets hurt so he doesn't have to contribute to the team at all. Um, you know, obviously joking, but I mean, if you guys watch DJ Moore, if you have DJ Moore on your team this year or last year, I mean, it's obvious he hates Caleb, which a lot of people on that team do. Mainly the older guys that they just don't tolerate his antics. They don't like him as a person. The younger guys, they seem to get along with him, which is probably why Odunze is getting all the targets this year. But hopefully Burden will play into that favor too. But he was probably like done with it. He didn't want to contribute to the Bears at all, even though they had that win and all. So he's probably banging himself with a hammer in the locker room, banging his nuts, and he ended up having to go to the hospital. So uh, hopefully he's all right. I was hoping maybe he put himself on the IR, make the way for pave the way for Luther Burden, but it doesn't seem like it'll be the case. But it just once again, I mean, the guy's perfectly fine during the game, then he goes to the hospital. I mean, it just shows how unpredictable this game is, guys. So that's why we're doing these shows. It's like you just never know. Like stash these guys if you got room. Always, make sure you guys always have more bench spots than you can, I say can you afford, but always ask the commissioner, can you get that last, that extra bench spot. Um, with Burden though, I mean, 23% of the snaps, and he's still 10 points, 9 points. Showing that he's going to be viable if that snap share increases. That's why he's probably not a start next week, but looking at the upcoming games, Baltimore's beat up, New Orleans is terrible, Cincinnati's terrible, the Giants can't play defense. I mean, there's 4 games right there where maybe one of those games he really pops, and he's still behind this guy Olamide Zaccheaus. I mean, he's got to pass him on the depth chart eventually, and that'll get him at least in 11 personnel, and that makes him fantasy viable alone. So a guy that was very highly touted in best ball. I expect that to continue. I mean, if he can just get these damn snaps up. A couple more guys we'll go over. Darnell Mooney might have hit the waiver wires. I was seeing some shows that talked about him. Uh, he's in 39% of rosters. So get on him, guys. He's very much going to be fantasy relevant. Penix isn't a down the field thrower, but get on him. Okay. There's no way he should be on the waiver wires. He was like a 10th round pick this year. And then another guy is probably worth mentioning is Kendrick Bourne. Um, two back-to-back games. I mean, I would have thought, week 5, I remember talking about, Kendrick Bourne, whatever. He goes out, has a great game. Good for him. It's a one-time thing. Well, it's not a one-time thing. 20 points last week, and it shows that, he's probably going to be a wide receiver 3 long-term for this team, behind Pearsall, behind Jennings. Ayuk is not going to come back for another few weeks, so Bourne's a fantasy relevant player, very much so for the next few weeks. And Jawan Jennings came out and said he's got broken ribs, he's got a sprained ankle, he's got this, he's got that. I mean, I gotta be honest, man. That guy, I mean, eh, yeah, tough and all, but he's been doing nothing but complaining the entire season. Started in the off season all the way till now, complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint. I think the coaches are sick of it. I think they want nothing. I mean, this guy was a 7th round pick, and it's like, man, well, we've made your career, and all you've done this year is complain. I think Shanahan's tired of it. I don't think he wants to really play him. I wouldn't be surprised if they just throw him on the IR and just say, man, go handle your business and come back in 4 weeks. I mean, even though you're not going to leave the facility, but we just don't want to deal with you right now. This guy's been nothing but complaining. So in comes Kendrick Bourne to take his spot, and he's going to be a start this week, assuming Jennings doesn't go. Pearsall's still probably going to miss another week. So if he's a wide receiver 1, he's very much so a start. If one of those guys comes back, he's probably a wide receiver 3. And if both of those guys come back, he's a borderline flex, but very, very much so a waiver wire pickup. He's just over the 50% mark, so we're not going to go any more in depth with it, but a guy that's worth mentioning for sure. Um, Another guy that's worth talking about, receivers, Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson had a nice touchdown, great acrobatic flip, but the thing is, he's kind of relying off of injuries. Mike Evans is probably going to come back, but Igbuka is going to be out for a couple weeks, so it's not really a long-term play with Tez Johnson. I think he'll eventually revert back to like a wide receiver 4, but a guy that's worth picking up if you have a Puka injury, a Mecca's hurt, you need a starter for this week. I mean, going against the Lions where their secondary is beat to hell, and Brian Branch is going to miss a game for doing that stupid, I don't know what the hell Juju said to him, but he just shoved him in the face. So he's going to miss a game. Detroit's going to have no secondary, and I think Baker's going to go in there and take advantage of that. So Tez Johnson might be the recipient or the beneficiary to those extra touches, and I think, or this just that advantage is a whole with Detroit secondary. So if you're desperate, go ahead and get on Tez Johnson. I wasn't a big fan of him as a prospect, not just because he showed speed on film, but the 40 was slow, and he's already a small player, so I really wasn't big on him. But there's definitely upside there with the way Baker is playing. And then next guy, Jalen Coker. We already talked about him before, but uh, they have nobody after McMillan. I mean, Sanders I like, but he's that tight end, but he just hasn't shown consistency. And Leggett is an idiot, man. I mean, that guy is droppable. Guy, he should not be on your team. Well, if you guys saw that game when he was doing with that lateral, what the hell are you thinking? Doing something like that? You're absolutely out of your freaking mind. That shows you have zero football IQ. I don't know what this guy was eating raccoon over the summer. That probably messed him up. It might have rabies in that shit. But he is totally untrustworthy and not rosterable whatsoever. Jalen Coker, I think, is going to take his spot, take his targets, take his volume, and he could be a 10-point per game type of player. This guy last year, looking at his stats, I mean, down the line, he showed that he was on the field and he was contributing. I mean, 6, 7 targets a game, and some games they were big, like 110 against the Cowboys, of course. 78, 36, 41, 62, 35. I mean, so, a couple of touchdowns. The guy showed that he could be a decent player. I mean, last year he was an undrafted rookie from Holy Cross. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, like, you know, the fact that he did all that as an undrafted rookie from Holy Cross, year 2, he's probably going to get a little bit better. That's a small school. There's no players coming out of Holy Cross. So I know he had the injury setback, but this is a guy that was a 12th to 13th round pick in best ball. If you can get him for free, I absolutely would. Definitely a guy worth stashing for sure. Uh, and then I think that's pretty much it, a receiver. Um, Rams receivers, I'm not really going to talk about because, in my opinion, we're not sure about Puka. I have a feeling he might tough it out, but I'm not really into the 1 week rental anyway. Let's talk about some tight ends. So Michael Mayers is the popular name to talk about at tight end. To be honest, he's a 1 week guy. I mean, they're going to go into the bye week and Bowers is going to come out of it. So 1 week guy, if he's sitting out there, you need a guy, go ahead and get him. The guy to get, the number one pickup this week is K Dot. Okay, guys, here's why. We've talked about this in the offseason. Remember when K Dot did this right here? 18, 29, 21. No Mike Evans. No Chris Godwin. What happens now? No Mike Evans. No Chris Godwin. No Ibuka. Last man standing, man. And this guy definitely eats when he is the last man standing. So, uh, if you guys, I mean, you already saw a little sneak peek of it right here. You need a guy at tight end. This is the guy to get. I think you're going to get an explosive 2 weeks. Then he's going to go into the bye, and he'll probably come out of it back down to a 10 point per game type of player. But this is a guy that was, you know, exploding when all those injuries happened. I could very easily see that happening. It's pretty clear you want to get guys that Baker's throwing the ball to. Baker's playing out of his mind. So I think this is a no-brainer pickup. The fact that he's only 12% rostered already, I was considering roster him last week, and even myself, I didn't, and I kind of regret it. I'm gonna probably have to go put some money on him, big time money to get him. But absolutely worth picking up. Go get Kate Otten, guys. Number one pickup this week, if aside from Vidal, Burden, Spears, number one pickup by a mile. And then the next guy, last guy we'll talk about. We mentioned him on the show before, Oronde Gadsden. He had the Miami boost this week, with 11 points, but 8 targets. We talked about this guy being a perfect guy for Herbert. Sort of a tweener tight end, receiving tight end, best receiving tight end they have by a mile. Quentin Johnson was out last week. Keenan Allen's going to sort of fade a little bit. So you want to hope that 75% snap share just stays. That would be awesome because this guy could really uh, just be a solid back end tight end one for you for the rest of the year. And I could see him being like an eighth, ninth round pick in best ball next year. So he's a very fun prospect. He's young. He's fast. He's got a good catch radius. And Pro Football Focus, like, I don't know, but uh, it's not someone I'm probably like throwing into my lineup per se because I think Quentin Johnson comes back and that's going to take a little bit of his volume away. I know they play different positions, but the ball can only go around to so many people, and the Chargers for this year they love 11 personnel. So which is kind of weird considering Greg Roman's the coach, but that's just what the numbers have indicated this year. So the volume's going to go away a little bit from Oronde Gadsden. He'll probably be back down to more of this 54-48 snap share, but at the very least, we know right now that he's past Conklin. He's past who else do they have on that team? Will Disley. He's past those guys. I know they don't have it here, but he's the guy they want to get going, and I could see him with more experience growing. I mean, he's a very fun prospect. We talked about it after that first game. Um, I was very high on him, then I was very disappointed, and now I'm like, damn, now do I go run of the waivers to go pick him back up? I'm considering it. But 14 team and up, absolutely stash Rondé Gatson. 12 team, back end, tight end two, if you got the room. I think that's fair. But K Dot, I think you got to go get everywhere, every single place. But that's it, guys. A little bit shorter of an episode this week. Actually, not too short, but I think we pretty much covered all our bases. Again, if you got a question, hit me up. Go to the Discord. Um, Link in the bio. $5 a month. Get on the Patreon. $10 if you want the full write up fab recommendations. But get on the Discord, guys. Let's get a community going. It's been quiet, and granted, it's my fault because I haven't been putting much effort when I'm freaking sick, and it's just annoying to get through this video alone. But uh, hit me up. Ask any question you want. Trades, start sits, you name it. I got it. And I will see you guys. We're going to be resuming the Friday start and sit show late night, of course, and get you guys ready to go for week number 7. So I'll see you then. Hopefully, you recover well from these injuries and pick up these players. Peace.